Alright, here we are for the first round, and yeah, we'll be on the play. This is a keeper. I'm not going to mulligan this one. Doesn't have a ton of early action, but we do get our unicorn out, and we can start powering out some stuff here. Unfortunately, again, you know, Nighthowler looks a lot like a 3-drop. It doesn't really act like one, though, because in this case, for example, we just can't even cast it. Unless we really wanted to try to get that Nemesis of Mortals out soon. But we don't. Alright, there's a Harpy. But it looks like we're on the Unicorn plan, and then we'll either be playing the Harpy, or if we draw a land, we could play Mender if we really wanted, but probably won't. But let's just get the Unicorn out here and see what our opponent has to say about it. Alright. Oh, just saw this. Took me a minute here, but our opponent looks like he had a hard time submitting his deck or something, because he started with the full 80. So what we need to do is kind of hang on for the ride here and see what we can do. Because the deck that we're facing in the second game and potentially the third game is going to be a much different animal than what we see here. I drew another land. And we hit a Chimera. But we can actually just cast Nemesis of Mortals here, so there's no really great reason to play the Chimera. It's kind of cute, but I mean 5/5 is 5/5, and let's just do that instead. Alright, well, he has main deck Shredding Winds because he's playing his entire pool, so we lose our Insatiable Harpy. And interestingly, he's got all of the same colors of land somehow. And an Agent. What's going on here? Right, that did just turn on our Nighthowler, though, so we have that option. But I think I'm just going to keep it simple. Probably, this is actually a little interesting. Got 7 mana, so I can do Horizon Scholar and Nighthowler. But Nighthowler on Nemesis of Mortals is kind of lame. So I think I'm just going to do Horizon Chimera and Nighthowler main phase here. So let's attack first. Because the awkward thing is, if we play Pharika's Mender, A, that's the only thing we get to do this turn, and B, we turn off our Nighthowler. So it's kind of weird. Normally you just want to flash this guy in, but I want to get Nighthowler on him, so... Oh! Well, I misclicked it. That's funny. So I meant to pay for Bestow, but I forgot that the Bestow costs an extra mana. And he annulled my Nighthowler, so now I just get full value off of Pharika's Mender. I kind of feel bad for him, because he clearly had problems with that, and even the plays that, even when he capitalizes on my blunder, it still actually sets him back. So we don't really know much about his deck at this point. I think I can still leave the Viper's Kiss in the board here, though. Yeah, let's just submit and see what he does for this next game here. I expect him to take a minute here to submit his deck, because he's probably stripping out and getting that thing down to size. It's strange that he had all of his cards, yet he was really kind of just a blue-green deck in that game. So we'll see what happens now, though. Okay. Do we have a keeper? Absolutely. This hand is just fine. I mean, we're obviously a green mana away from casting our Leafcrown Dryad, but we can cast everything else and even activate our Returned Phalanx. And hey, what do you know? There's our other source of colored mana potentially here as well. You can see he's down to 40 cards now, so something that we'll keep in mind for sure. Yeah, so let's just play the Returned Phalanx and say go here. We got to keep a null in mind if he keeps that up, and if it's something that we just really can't have countered, then we'll consider that. All right, looks like he's going to miss some land drops for us here. See what we draw. We draw Horizon Scholar. Horizon Scholar to me says it's putting even more pressure on our Opaline Unicorn. I mean, I want to try to ramp that thing out. I could run out Opaline Unicorn. If he annuls it, it's annoying and that's about it. But it is our only green source to get this Karametra's Acolyte, but you got to figure we're going to draw that at some point. One thing I could do is play my island and just return Phalanx and start beating him down. If we draw another land, I can play Insatiable Harpy and, you know, start mounting an effort here. If I get Opaline Unicorn hit by a null, I really have to ask myself, like, how big of a deal is that here? And actually, it's kind of not that big of a deal. So I'm just going to go for it. If he has a null, I can live with that. If he doesn't, which it looks like he didn't, we're going to be in pretty nice shape, assuming that we can keep kind of building out our board here. All right, looks like he's just running horribly today, missing another land drop here. Yeah, maybe he's got something he can play. I mean, he could Voyage's End this thing. That would get him a scry to try to find a land. I mean, it's obviously not what you want to be doing with your premium cards like Voyage's End, but hey, he's not in a good spot here. He's got to figure something out. He can also play Fate Foretold on one of my creatures. That will draw him a card. I've had to do that before. It's miserable because when it dies, the owner gets the card, but yeah, you know, or the controller gets the card, but all right, so Hippocamp. All right, and right on time we draw a forest as well. We somehow don't have one of our 1,000,000 5-drops, but we can play a Karametra's Acolyte here pretty nicely. I think I like that plan. And then we're just going to battle with the Unicorn here. The reason I want to get the Acolyte online is because if we don't hit a land next turn, I want to be able to cast Horizon Scholar. I just want to slam Horizon Scholar and be like, here, beat this. All right, he's hit another land. Got to figure he's got to play something this turn, though. Interesting. All right, drawing a Horizon Chimera definitely changes things a little bit. And I'm just going to actually attack with these two and then save Horizon Chimera. I'm going to cast it on his turn. I want to make sure he does something here. I don't really need to walk into any, you know, counters or anything like that right now. The onus is on him to do something. And this way I can play Horizon Chimera now. All right, it looks like the coast is pretty clear here. Oh, nope, it's not. He kept that Shredding Winds in. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but it means we get to keep our much bigger, sweeter Horizon Scholar, so that's kind of nice. So let's start with Temple of Mystery to, you know, scry on scry here. I am going to get rid, actually, of Disciple of Phenax. He's going to have tons of cards in his hand, and even though we get to see like 3 of them or whatever, he's just going to keep his best or 2 best cards, and that's just not that great here. So, yeah. A Sip of Hemlock and a Nemesis of Mortals. In other words, just 2 of the best possible cards for us. I'm going to put Sip on top, and then I'm going to put Nemesis on top, and we're just going to keep adding to our board here, basically. Next turn, we can cast Nemesis of Mortals, have 9 power, and have him on a 2-turn clock after that. So things looking very nicely for us here as our opponent stumbled on mana, and we were able to accelerate out some mana. And, you know, when you can strand this many cards in your opponent's hand, it's usually a good way to just pick up victories here. All right, he has an Ilea's Emissary, which is fine because we've got bigger, better things, and we're going to really be able to blow him out with Voyage's End and our removal spells. This thing only costs 5 right now. I could also, if I wanted, Leafcrown Dryad onto this thing or this thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. But then I'd want to use it for mana that turn as well. So yeah, I'm just going to stick with the plan of playing our Nemesis of Mortals here. Okay, and that way we can keep up Voyage's End as well in case he does something really silly. It does mean we could have attacked with Phalanx if we wanted, but I'm pretty happy to leave up Voyage's End. If he plays like a Nessian Asp here or something, we're going to want to get rid of that thing. This just leaves him with so few options at this point. Getting ahead on mana and board advantage makes Voyage's End from kind of an all-star to like the MVP of the deck too. I mean, he just cannot, it's just hard to imagine him beating a Voyage's End at this point. Thinking about what he wants to do. He's caught up on his land drops. We both have the same amount of lands. Of course, I have some mana creatures, but... All right, so he's just going to hard cast Thassa's Emissary. That's fine. And we can hit him for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, but I can't really do everything I need to do. So remember, we're going to be drawing our Sip of Hemlock. So I can bounce something and then sip something with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's say 6 mana or whatever. You know, tapping one of these and then tapping the rest will have his board completely empty. And then we hit him for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then activate. Yeah, that actually does it. So I think we just have the victory here. They both have the same bestow cost. I guess it doesn't really matter here, so let's just bounce one of them. And then we're going to keep that on top. And I think we just win here. Let's see, that's 3, right? Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then he goes down to 11, and we hit him for 5, 9, and 10, 11, 12. There's one card that can save him here, but it doesn't actually do anything long term. It just means he doesn't die this turn. It's lost in a labyrinth, but it doesn't matter. All right, so we're able to get by round 1, and we'll see you guys in round 2.